What's going on, everybody? So as y'all can see here, I have the Cinema Camera 6K full frame. I have done just a little bit of testing of the face detection autofocus, and there's some things that I've come across already. So today is just going to go over some of the first couple things in terms of using the different modes of autofocus, my experience with those, and specifically working with this particular lens, which is the Sigma 28-70 f2.8 lens. This is pretty much the lens that stays on my Cinema Camera 6K full frame almost all the time, unless I'm on a job where I use specific lenses. So a lot of people have already came out. Again, this is just going to be just a quick discussion. I'll give a more thorough review after I do some more thorough testing. But there's just a couple things I just feel like should be noted. And again, I want to make sure I reiterate, it's most of my notes are going to be talking about in comparison with this lens. I haven't used any of like Lumix's lenses, so I don't know how they affect the focus performance. I'm just specifically talking about it in comparison of this specific lens. There's already been a lot of YouTubers and out there, and they're hyping up as like, yo, the autofocus is pretty good, the autofocus is solid. And look, I love Blackmagic. Y'all know I love Blackmagic. I've been very proponent of Blackmagic, but you also know I gotta keep it real with you, and I'm always going to give you guys the honest things that I discovered, the honest facts, and just give you guys the truth. This autofocus has a lot of love that needs to be done, and it has a lot of work to do. Let's start off with the good. The single shot autofocus works pretty solid. It works pretty decently, and pretty impressed with the single shot autofocus, which shouldn't be too surprised because the contrast-based autofocus, single shot autofocus, was pretty good as well. So that was kind of expected. Other thing that I do like is that, at least in the human face recognition mode, what I do like is even when you disengage or turn off the autofocus and go full manual focus, the face tracking is still there, which if you guys may not want to use this necessarily for autofocus, you could still probably use this for manual. You could use that feat for manual focus because it does still work and still pretty active, of where it will show lost focus or something, even when the with autofocus is not engaged. But let's go ahead and get into the continuous parts, which it's honestly the same issues I have is basically on all the different modes: the continuous mode, the object tracking, and the face human tracking. And it comes down to exposure, in this case was focal lengths, in case was zooms, and how you sort of set up the shot. So there is a very specific niche that if you set it up that way, the autofocus was great. I'm showing this shot of portrait of a black woman in this painting of a black woman. It's in my basement, and as you can see here, and it's also very dimly underexposed, and it's tracking the face like really well. Now, in order to get that set up, I essentially shot it the widest focal length of 28 millimeters. I shot it at f2.8, and then I didn't adjust any of those. Now, what I have discovered is that if you adjust the apertures, it still does work. However, there is an exposure mode, which exposure point, which I found it to be around under 2 stops of exposure. The autofocus just completely falls apart and it can't track it. So if you adjust the aperture to where the thing is tracking falls under 2 stops, it basically, the stickiness completely falls apart. The biggest problem, especially with, at least again with this Sigma 28-70, I don't know that this is all zooms, but at least with this lens in particular, the biggest problem is that the moment you change the focal length at all, the stickiness just falls completely apart. Like, and also if you shoot anything 50 millimeters and above, it just does not work. It will not stick. It will just continue to hunt. I found up to about 38 millimeters. The lens is able to track and work fine, but that's again only if you set that focal length before you turn the camera on. The moment you turn the camera on and you adjust the focal length, even going back to 28 millimeters, the stickiness just falls apart and it just never recovers from that point on. So to use the autofocus like in full length that way, you kind of have to sort of set your focal length in motion and don't change it. Now again, that is with this. Obviously, if you have prime lenses, the experience may be completely different because you don't have to worry about changing focal lengths. You really just have to worry about the exposure. And in that sense, your shooting style may be, you know, it may be a more happier experience. But in terms of, at least for what it looks like, at least with this particular zoom lens, it doesn't seem to bode well or do well, again, if you change the focal lengths as you are trying to do focus, as you're focus tracking, it just falls apart. Look, like I said, this face detection autofocus, while yes, it is Blackmagic's first time, and I am going to give them some leeway, and I'm also going to definitely give them some feedback. I'm going to actually send some of the feedback to them directly. But this is something I just want to give you guys, so you guys are ahead. I mean, again, first time, but at the same time, I know a lot of people are like, is this good enough? I will tell you right now, if you're trying to use this on any type, if you're planning to rely on the autofocus on a paid gig, I highly encourage you not to do that. At this point in time. Now, obviously, this is still beta. This is not even final production yet of the autofocus. There's going to be many other iterations of it, but there is points where it is working and it tracks and it sticks really well, but it's a very, very limited experience in my personal opinion, at least so far. I'm going to continue to do studies and shoot in different scenarios, but this was the first one that I really wanted to sort of present to you guys, and I'll sort of present more once. Unfortunately, it's raining right now, so I can't really get with anybody to do more thorough testing like I want to. That will change once things sort of line up a little bit. But this is, again, just some first thoughts, initial impressions of the autofocus. I would love to know what you guys think so far, and what other testing scenarios would you like to see from me. Let me know, leave your comments down below, and as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and until next time, take care, everyone.